rooting your kids in God. That's first. You can have all the levels. You can have every teaching, book, doctrine from being a great parent to raising children. But if you don't have God and you don't instill that into your children, they will be lost.
Yeah.
They will be lost, which is why I feel like now the rate of suicide, the rate of just anxiety and anxiousness, and teens don't know how to function, kids don't know how to function because the spirituality of it is gone.
We got to understand that, the problems that go on in the world and in society stem from poor families. Okay, it starts with the family, and then it goes to the neighborhood, then it goes to the state, right? However you want to look at it, right? We got the family is the foundation of it, then that spreads to the state, right? Then that spreads to the country. Okay, to make it more simple. Okay, so it starts with the family, and if you come from a broken family, you're going to create chaos, and you bring that chaos to the state, then you're going to create more people that have more chaos, and then you bring that to the country. Now we got a country that's chaotic, right? So it starts with the family. So if you come from a great family, not saying that if you come from a great family, there's no chance you're going to live a chaotic life, right, or be chaotic.
But the statistics on that is like
it's low. It's low.
It's it's very rare that that's going to be the outcome, unless the only way that happens is whenever you go outside of the house and you start to experience other,
and you're influenced by other people hurt. And other things. Yeah.
When you experience that, because I've seen videos, like I follow a lot of young girls that grow up in a 2-parent household, because I really want to see like the difference. And it's a huge difference. As far as love and relationships, like they're like, I just haven't found it because I'm not settling because my parents had this.
All right.
It starts with that root. It starts with that foundation of my parents had this, and it's just like it stresses me out. Like if you are in a relationship, if you are in a marriage and you are not truly in it, if your partner is not helping you, if you guys are not helping each other, go to therapy, because like kids are not dumb. Kids are not slow. They see that. Like they see that. I literally seen a girl was like, oh, my parents was together for 45 years, but they never spoke to each other. My dad never helped my mom. My mom did everything. Like my mom was there. Even though I had a mom and a dad, my mom was always there.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, don't be in a marriage and just settle and accept any and everything just because, oh, I want my child to grow up in a 2-parent household. But yeah, you and your partner don't really spend any time together. Like you and your partner really don't have anything in common outside of your child, and barely that because your partner doesn't help with the child. Like, I just feel like that's a big part of like a lot of like, what am I trying to say? Like that's the outcome of like kids that grew up in 2-parent homes, but still like I don't want a family, because like I saw my mom and dad together, and like they wasn't happy, or mom didn't help dad, or mom was always angry, mom was always sad. Like,
so we're talking about so we want to talk about, not to cut you off, but to chime in.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about the importance of a 2-family household, we're talking about a healthy whole family household. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, nobody's perfect. You're gonna have some struggles. You're gonna make mistakes as parents. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about whole, meaning that you guys are equally in the marriage together, and you're looking to grow together. You're looking to improve. You're looking to get better, right? And not just settling with who you are and the way that you go about doing things, and treating each other in a certain way for the rest of your lives together. Like, nah, that ain't it. Like, I always want to know how I can improve as a husband, as a man, so I can serve my wife better, serve my children better. Like, I'm always looking to get better.
Yeah.
Right. And vice versa. We want to have a thriving family. We want to show our children, that we respect each other, that we love each other, and that, listen, when you grow up, right, and you become young women, right?
I just got onto what you said.
Yeah. So when you grow up and you become young women, I want you to have a living example of what it's like to operate in love, and what it's like to be a good human, what it's like to have character and have integrity. Like, you've seen that from your household, right? That's what I want my children to be thinking. I seen that from my household. I seen my parents operate in integrity. I seen them treat people with respect.
Mm-hmm.
I seen them be kind to the homeless man on the street. I seen them be kind to the server in a restaurant, not treat anybody like they're less than. Like, I want them to know that people like that exist, and more importantly, that their parents are those type of people, right? Because that has a major impact on a person's life as they grow up and they realize that the world is not like that, right? Most people in the world are rude, they're nasty, they're shady, right? They don't have character. They say one thing and do another, right? They're wolves in sheep's clothing, right? That's the world that we live in. But I don't want my children to think that there aren't good people in the world because their parents were just like everybody else.
Yeah.
If their parents were just like everybody else, then you lose all hope. When you think about it, even when I described that scenario to you, you're like, damn, it is a lot of people that's wolves in sheep's clothing, right? Everybody out here is trying to lie, they're trying to get ahead, they're trying to deceive you, right? And you think about your household. Were your parents like that? Or whoever raised you, right? Were the people that raised you, were they like that? Right? Because if they were, then you feel a sense of hopelessness, right? Because you're like, man, I come from this place of wickedness, of people being deceiving and lying and cheating and stealing. You come from that, right? But I don't want my children to have that experience. I want them to have the best experience from the household, and they go out into the world and they see that the world may not love them the way that God loves them or the way that we love them, right? But they always have a place called home, right? They can always turn and see that, listen, I have a perfect example of how I should live my life.
I don't have to settle.
So I don't have to settle.
Accept what, people say. And it's a big reflection on if your household, like, I feel like children are the closest thing to God.
That's a fact.
Like, they are. Their ability to pick up on things, their ability to love, their ability to just forgive is like,
it's godlike.
It's literally God. It's the closest image of God that you will ever see in your face, having children. But the biggest part about that is at that young age, they're like that. When they start to get older, that starts to deteriorate because of what they are seeing in the household. If one parent is doing it, it is not enough, which is why a lot of single parent households, there's some type of defect. Not saying like it's like an illness, but it is some type of defect that causes some type of issue whenever that once child is now an adult. Like, whether it's anger issues, not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to effectively, like, recognize their emotions, not knowing how to function in the world because they have this dependency on, just mama or just daddy, because there are a lot of single fathers as well. Like, it's a big reflection. So I don't know. Like, we went off on that tangent because
it's relevant.
Because it's relevant, and because we are having another child and we are excited and our family is growing. Our kids are taken care of. We're taken care of. Like, we're in the right mind. We're in a good place to take care of our children. And yeah, I don't want to hear no fit, fat, nothing besides congrats. Like,
listen, hold on, pause. Okay, we are excited, but I'm gonna ask you right here.
Yeah.
How do you feel, sweetheart? We're having another child, our third.
We're having a third.
We got wait a second. We got our firstborn, which is Noelle Victoria. We have our secondborn daughter. The first one's a daughter. Then we have our secondborn daughter. Her name is Naomi Elise. And then we have our thirdborn. How do you feel about having baby number 3?
I feel excited and nervous at the same time.
Okay. Why excited?
Excited because, like, we're having another baby. Like, our family is growing. Our kids are excited. You're excited. And honestly, it's been like the best pregnancy so far.
As far as like symptoms and how you feel?
Symptoms, yeah, how I feel. I would say, like, the exhaustion and the hunger that I get is like, that's top tier. Like,
top tier.
I was tired, honestly, when we walked out the house.
Before we even started our day.
Before we even started, like once I wake up, I eat. I just want to go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
just like a baby.
Yeah, and I started like moving around, started doing something. Like after every test that I do, I want to go to sleep. No facts.
So, and then why nervous?
Nervous because like I don't know how like the birthing process is gonna be. I don't know. It's just like a bunch of like I don't know uncertainty. Like every pregnancy is different. Every recovery is different. Like
right.
With Noel, I feel like my recovery was like. It was painful, like the first couple of days, but after the first couple of days, like I literally was cleaning the house, walking up and down the stairs, running errands. Like
she was.
I was then like his family was so amazed, like everybody was so amazed, like is that girl off the drugs? Like no, and even when we leave the hospital, like we had 2 C-sections. I didn't take the medicine while I was in the hospital. Like they would come in there and be like, "Do you want more? Do you want more?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. Like I'm good." Are you sure? I don't want your drugs because I don't want my body to like depend on that. Like I need to feel the pain so that my body can heal properly.
Yeah.
That's just my method to it. That's just what I believe, and it's worked for me.
Right.
However, with Naomi, I needed those drugs. Not a whole lot, but like when we got home, I took like 2. Mm-hmm. Two of the pills that they gave me for pain because our bed is high. So when you have a C-section, you really need something that's low because you're not supposed to be like
stretching your body,
and stuff like that. And because I breastfeed at nighttime, I had to move and get up a lot. So that pain was like, it was painful. So I did take some of the medicine, but I don't know, just like they were like, the more kids that you have, the recovery process is either going to be one or two ways. It's going to be more difficult or it's going to be longer. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, you're birthing a whole child. So it's like, it puts wear and tear on your body.
Yeah.
You know, even if you take care of your body, there's nothing that can like prepare you for having a kid. So nervous for that, nervous for just like the unknown, like you never know. So right. I would say that. Sense. And just the transition from 2 to 3. Like that.
It's gonna be the easiest transition. So I've been told. Listen, I have a lot of people that I know that have a lot of kids. Specifically, this one lady, a customer that comes in my store all the time. She's an older white lady. She has 7 kids. I think she has 5 boys and 2 girls. She tells me all the time, "Oh, have as many as you can. You won't regret it." She's like, "The older you get, you won't regret it. You'll be glad that you have so many kids." She tells me that all the time, and I believe her. Right? She says that the more kids you have, the easier it gets, and that seems so like counterintuitive. It's like, how could that be possible? The more kids you have, the easier it gets. But it's because as your kids get older, they grow. They're able to help you with your other children, right? So you're not taking on that load. Or it's not as big of a load. Not that you want your kids to be taking care of your kids, but it's like the assistance. Like I ain't got to get out the bed and go do something if my daughter's right here. I tell my daughter, "Hey, can you go grab this?" You know what I mean? It's just the little things. They add up. So what were you about to say?
I was about to say, not saying like, oh, you know, your older child take care of like the young child, but it's just like
it ain't that.
The way that, like, understand, I'm gonna give a prime example. Like Noelle is like, she feel like she's Naomi's mom. Yeah. Not because she has that role or has any responsibility to reflect the mother at all. She sees me and she wants to help and imitate what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Wants to imitate what her dad does. So rather they're waking up in the morning time, they're in a room, they're playing. Rather, when I was just Noelle, when she woke up, I absolutely 110% had to get out of the bed because what are you doing? Yeah. Into everything. Yeah. But because like it's 2, I'm in the kitchen cooking. Themselves. They're in their room, they're playing, they're doing whatever they want to do. Like they're keeping each other entertained. And when Naomi needs help, Noelle helps her without like us having to ask because she knows that that's your younger sister. You help your sister. Naomi is younger than her, and when Noelle is struggling, Naomi still tries to help her, even though she's still super tiny and she like, you know, she's not necessarily helping, but she gives off that image like, oh, I'm helping Sissy put her shoes on. It made the transition easier in that aspect. Yeah. The hardest part about having 2 is when you go into the grocery store, they still solely depend on you because
Yeah.
they are so young.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest part about when they're younger and
Mm-hmm.
they're, when they're younger and they're dependent on you still.
Yeah.
It's like when they're older, like when they're 7, 8, 9. All right, Noah, Naomi, go ahead and put your shoes on. Let's go.
Right.
And then you have one other little baby that's 1 and 2. That's easier because you're only really having to take care of that one child.
Mm-hmm.
Noah, we pick out her clothes, put her clothes out. She puts on her own stuff. She
Mm-hmm.
knows how to do that. Naomi, like, I can see how that makes it like easier,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes it difficult whenever you're like, for instance, whenever you like by yourself and you have to have the girls by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
It is.
So my whole thing is like 3. Like, we can't always be together. So it's going to be times and points to where we're going to be alone and we have to be, we have to have them by ourselves. So that's 3 babies that you have to put inside of a car seat. Then that's 3 babies that you got to take out of wherever you're going. So that transition, because that was a transition from going to 1 and 2. I'm so proud of you because you didn't leave this baby in a car. So
listen, this one time, okay, this is a quick story. This one time, I went to go wash our truck. We had a truck at the time. I went to go wash our truck. And I just so happened to lock the door. I don't know what I did. I think I got
when you lock the door, when you shut the door, it automatically locks.
When I shut the door, it automatically locked. And my daughter was still in the car. And she was she 2?
She was 1.
No, she was 2.
She was 1.
She was 2
because she was about
because
to turn 2.
Okay. She was a smart 1-year-old because she opened the door.
Yeah.
She unlocked it. But I locked her in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm outside the truck. I'm like trying not to cause a scene because there's people on their balcony looking. I'm like, Noelle, open the door. Like, come on. Like, cut it out.
He FaceTimes me.
I FaceTime. I'm like, listen. I locked our daughter in the car. I
was in disbelief because he's childish and he like to play a lot. So I'm like our daughter in the car. Like, what you mean? He shows me her and she's in heaven. She's playing
in there
on the
just having a blast
wheel.
on the steering wheel. I was shook. I was shook for a little bit.
You can see like your face was red. Like, you was like really concerned because like Noah is very smart. She very much so could have pulled off with the car.
I wouldn't be surprised if she did. The reason I'm in my notes, I'm on the iPad, okay, but I wanted to read something because you said something earlier. And it reminded me. So we're crossing over into the second phase.
Oh, it's up there, the levels of parenting.
The 4 levels of parenting, okay? So
that's right.
I got something
right there.
I got something from a gentleman that I follow. His name is Myron Golden, and he said something one time about parenting, and it stuck with me when he talks about the 4 levels of parenting for the 4 levels of child development. Okay, so I'm going to read it off to you. Mm-hmm. So the first level of child development is 0 to 4 years old. Okay, that level is called training. All right, and in training, you train a child to respond appropriately to authority. Immediate and complete obedience. It says parents or anyone placed in authority by parents. Okay, so they respond immediately and completely to in obedience to parents or to anyone placed in authority by those parents. Okay, so that's the first level of child development, 0 to 4 years old. The second level is from 4 years old to 8 years old. Okay, this is the teaching phase. So in the teaching phase, it says you teach your children the reasons behind the rules you gave them when they were 4 years old and younger. It says the purpose is to get your child to reason properly with truth. Okay, so from 4 years old to 8 years old, you're supposed to teach your children why you gave them all these rules when they were 0 to 4 years old. Okay, second level, that's teaching.
I want to add to that little part. Because when they hit, I'd say about ages 3 and 4, that's where that why.
Oh, they ask you why all day.
Noelle asks why all day. And we explain to her, and sometimes it's just like, girl, hush, because you're trying it. But most of the time it's because she's curious, and we have to explain why for every single thing. Because why? Because she's learning. You're in that training phase. Like, you have to like realize coming from a fresh newborn baby,
Mm-hmm.
you really start to understand like what it is to actually raise a child,
Mm-hmm.
because they come in here with no knowledge at all besides what you poured into them.
Mm-hmm.
So when a child asks you why, it's not them being disrespectful,
Yeah.
which that was huge back in the day.
Oh, what?
Don't
if I
ask
asked why?
because I said so.
Because I said so. Yeah.
That's a trauma.
Yeah.
It's dumb because you said so. Well, why did you say so?
Yeah.
Don't question me. Don't ask me no questions. Well, that's dumb, because then when I get out here in the real world and outside your house, I'm just supposed to accept what anybody says because they say so.
That's the old school way of parenting, right?
If you're doing that, please stop.
Listen,
just stop.
God bless them, right? That's how they used to parent back in the day. Listen, this next generation, what we doing now is we're actually explaining to our children. Now, I'm not saying allow them to be disrespectful.
Yeah, not disrespectful.
When they 12, 13, 15 years old and you telling them to do something,
go take out the trash.
And they telling you why. Like, with some type of attitude, this ain't that. That's not what I'm talking about.
Because if you don't, I'm going to put my hands on you.
I'm going to put my hands on you. My paws. All right. So level 3. We got 8 years old to 12 years old. So this is the transition phase. So it says, giving your children the ability to make adult decisions for your family under your supervision. This teaches children how to interact responsibly as adults. Okay, so from 8 years old to 12 years old, you're supposed to give your children responsibility and trust those children to take on that responsibility and, respond accordingly or interact responsibly, right, with other adults. I'm going to pause here because in the Jewish community, when you're 12 years old, actually when you hit 13 years old, you're considered a man or a woman, right? That's when you get bar mitzvah or bay mitzvah, because at 13 years old, that's when you essentially have all the training and knowledge that you need in order to operate as an adult in the world, right? So 13-year-olds are considered men, right? Or women. Women are considered women when they're born, okay? But you're really considered a man at 13 years old. That's when you got all of your training, you got all the knowledge that you need to take care of your family if you so happen to have a family at 13 years old. Okay, so anyway, the last level of parenting is level 4. All right, so that's 13 years old and beyond. So this is trusting. Okay, so this level says now you can trust them as an adult to respond to authority properly, to interact properly with society, and to discern truth and make the proper decisions. So those are the 4 levels of parenting for the 4 levels of child development. We are now crossing into level 2 with our daughter Noelle because she just turned 4. So we're going into the teaching phase. But we got other ones that are coming up. Okay. Our Naomi, she's in that 0 to 4, right? So she's still in the training phase. And then we have our other child,
which would be in the training phase.
Which would be in the training phase. Okay, so we
we'll
got
have two in the training phase.
We'll have 2 in the training phase, and then we'll have 1 in the teaching phase. All right, now here's the challenge for us: to remember that
what phase
to remember what phase each child is in. Okay, because I'm treating Naomi like she's Noelle, and she has no idea what's going on.
And she gonna tell you.
She gonna tell you about yourself.
We're gonna try to insert a video, but she gonna hit you with a.
She gonna look at you crazy. She gonna swing at you. She gonna like all of that. Okay. And in my head, I'm like, who you talking to?
Yeah.
But really, she don't know what she doing
all day.
So
literally just happened. We're giving her a bath, and I'm in here. And he come in here, and he like, why are you in here arguing with your mom? Me and her literally going back and forth.
I'm in the room, and I hear them yelling at each other. I'm like, she arguing with the child arguing back.
Because why are you arguing back with me?
Yeah.
Because you're in that training phase, and we gonna get you trained. Because I'm gonna go back and forth with you.
Yeah.
But that's important. It's important to know the level that your child is at, and this just gives a perspective. And I also will say, know your child, because Noelle probably been in this training stage since she was about 2.
That's a fact.
Honestly. Like,
she's a star student. She got AP classes.
Yeah. She catches on to stuff like that. Like, it blows my mind, but I'm also like a very proud parent at the same time. So I would say know your child and base it off of that. But going by the age, most definitely will put it into that perspective. Pretty much they're in that time frame. They may reach it a little quicker or a little slower. Each child is different. So know your child, and that will help a lot.
Absolutely. So you have anything else you want to say? I got one last thing that I want to say that's extremely important, but I want you to
What?
say whatever you need to say.
I was about to say, well, you go ahead.
Okay, so this is the last thing I need to say. I give a huge shout out to my mother. She watches our podcast, so I love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
This is the best thing that you've ever done for me. This is the best thing that any human or any parent can ever do for their child, and that's give them a spiritual awareness, right? Give them a knowledge of God, right? A knowledge of self and a knowledge of God. By doing that, that gives them a foundation that's unshakable, right? It's going to be tested. I would say unmovable. It's shakeable, but it's unmovable. That don't make sense. It gives them a solid foundation. Okay, so my mother gave me a solid foundation by giving me a spiritual awareness as a child, right? So I always had a knowledge of God from a jit, right? Now I may not have understood God the way she explained it in entirety at a certain time in my life, but I grew up to understand that there is a God. I am created in God's image.
Yeah.
And God has blessed us with this book called the Bible. That's a guidebook. It's not a religious book. It's a guidebook. And it's to help guide you through this life that's full of suffering, right? But you can counter that suffering through love and through service to others. All right, that's how you counter the suffering that we go through in this life. Service to others through love. Okay, so that's what I wanted to end with, sweetheart. You got anything else you want to say?
Same. I like as many transitions that I've been through with, my family, from being with my mom to being in foster care to being with my dad and his wife. Like, I've always been rooted in God. Like, that's always been my foundation from literally since I came out of the womb. I've always known God, known that was my foundation. When whatever happened in my life, like, that's always been my foundation. That's my backbone. That's who I follow. And that's who I lean on.
Yeah.
So, like, rooting your kids in their roots, like, that foundation of having God is essential.
Yeah.
And I feel like you discovering God for yourself, like if you're a parent, like just discovering God for yourself and knowing what that means to you. Because a lot of the things that was taught to me isn't how I perceive God. It isn't how our walk is with God. But just know that we have a relationship with God. Our children will have a relationship with God, and they see that in us, and that's in our household. Like, prayer, faith, and humility. That's what God wants us to walk in love. And they have that, and they don't have that in a traditional sense, because in the traditional sense, it is a lot of religion, and God is not religion. Like, He is not religion. The Bible is a guidance. Like my husband said, like, the Bible is a guidance for us. So we use that book to guide us in life, and that's just what that is. Like,
and we apply it.
And
we ain't just reading it; we apply it.
I'm like not just talking about it. Yeah. That's why certain, like, when it comes to talking about God, certain people, I'll just, amen. I'm not about to entertain that conversation with you, because you're walking in religion. You haven't discovered, like, you have a glimpse of God for yourself, but not truly, because you're still basing it off of traditional and religious things that has been taught to you and passed down, that isn't necessarily what God is meaning, by certain things in the Bible, or certain things that a lot of people take wrong. So rooting your kids in God, that's first. You can have all the levels. You can have every teaching, book, doctrine, from being a great parent to raising children. But if you don't have God and you don't instill that into your children, they will be lost.
Yeah.
They will be lost, which is why I feel like now the rate of suicide, the rate of just anxiety and anxiousness, and teens don't know how to function. Kids don't know how to function, because the spirituality of it is gone. Like, God is not the root and foundation, because people want to put things, the universe. And I'm one of those people to say it, but when I say universe, I mean God is the universe. He is the creator, the maker of the earth. I know who the universe is God. I'm not talking about just open air.
Right.
You speaking in open air because you don't want to give glory who glory is due to. which is why a lot of children are lost. Which is why you have to have God as your foundation, pour that into them, and whatever that means to you, not in a religion sense, because we're not people to go to church every single Sunday. You know, I would love to find a good church home, but I'm not. A lot of church hurt happens in church, obviously.
Yeah.
It's in church, and it's a lot of people who operate in religion and tradition. Let me tell you something. Go to the church and I'm not feeling the spirit. I'm not feeling like the things that the pastor is speaking is traditional and religion. Me and mine are getting up and walking out.
Clean out.
You're not sowing those seeds.
With attitude.
On this foundation. With attitude and so much conviction in your heart that what you're saying is correct. I forbid it.
I forbid it.
I forbid it.
I forbid you.
It's not falling. That's the reason why a lot of people like don't go to church or like really have turned their back on church God hurt. Because of church hurt and because of what they heard.
It ain't even church hurt. It's just people in the church that hurt them. It ain't got nothing to do with the church.
Yeah, but
the church is the building.
Yeah, right? But they call it church hurt because those acts happened in a church building.
Right.
You know. Right. But it's just I like. A lot of people turn their back on God because of what happened in the church, because the church operates in a traditional religious aspect, so where it's a lot of judging and scrutiny of, oh, if you make this one you do this wrong, like you're going to hell, or if you do this or if you don't do that, then you're sowing seeds on us. You get what I'm saying?
That's the problem. Yeah, but that's the problem that I have with religion. That's the problem that I have for so long with religious people.
Yeah.
And churches, because when you go into church, you find a bunch of religious people, right? Not every church is not. Listen, I haven't been in a church where that isn't filled with a bunch of religious people. Like most of the people in the church are religious, right? And here's what I mean by religious. They believe that somehow acting in a certain way or doing something is going to get them in favor with God. There's nothing that you can do to get in favor with God, right? God has granted us favor through the death, burial, and resurrection of his son, Jesus Christ, right? Yeshua HaMashiach, right? So if you accept that, then listen, the Bible, the main message in the Bible is about acceptance. It's about accepting what God has already given you freely, right? If you accept that, not saying that you get an excuse and you don't have to change, you don't have to become a better person, right? Because there are laws and principles in place that you should implement to make your life better, to make you better as a person. But your religious acts and the religious deeds that you do that you think is going to put you in favor with God, that ain't how this works, okay? That's not what true Christianity is. You want to talk about Christianity, right? Christianity is not about doing things in order to be accepted by God. Yeah. It's about accepting what God has already freely given you, okay? Whether you accept it or not is completely up to you. If you do accept it, then that means you accept all that comes with it. And all that comes with it is the discipline, it's the structure, it's the you fulfilling your purpose as an individual on this planet.
Yeah.
Right? And religious people don't understand that
at all.
So
I was literally talking to somebody, and I was telling her, I'm like, you're trying to go to church to feel that acceptance or feel like you're doing enough to feel accepted by God and to be able to get what God has for you. What's for you is for you. Whether you're in church or not. Like what's for you is for you.
Yeah.
Are there certain things that you have to do to get that? Yes. I said, but if you read your word, you will know everything that God already promised to you. Stop praying about something that God didn't already guarantee you. God promised you peace. God promised you joy. God promised you healing. Like all those things God promised you. Why are you praying for that? You simply walk in and you truly believe it, you profess it, and you move accordingly.
Yep.
But if you're sick, oh God, heal me. I need you to heal me. Please heal me. I am healed. I'm healed. I'm healed. Like, that's all I have to say, y'all.
Listen, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Turn it off.
Our daughter's coming in here to dance. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Share,
notification.
Engage with us. Y'all comment.
Turn it
Listen,
off, baby.
I know a lot of people that talk about they watch our podcast. We appreciate you watching the podcast. We want you to comment. We want to hear what you got to say. Okay? I'm guilty. I haven't been somebody that's always commenting on podcasts but I'm turning a new leaf, okay? Because I would like to receive that in return. I want people to comment. I want people to engage with us, okay? Because listen, we want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear what you have to say. As long as you're not being disrespectful, we welcome all comments. You know what I mean? You could disagree with us. Just disagree respectfully. And that's fine, right? So, again, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we will see y'all next week.
Tell them bye.
Bye.
See y'all next time.
See you next time.
Let love fill your hearts, family.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Bye.